Hey, hello there, how are you doing? I hope you are enjoying watching all the videos of this course. Now in this module, we are going to start our first ever code of C++. Okay, isn't that exciting? So let's quickly get started. Now we can't directly start writing the code because we don't even know where to write the code. Like many of you might be thinking that let's write it in a Word file or like Google Sheets. It's not like that, right? We need some tools in order to write the code and in order to execute the code. Okay, so let's quickly discuss what are the tools that we required in order to write the code and in order to execute the code, and let's create our environment ready to write and execute our first ever C++ code. So let's quickly get started. So there are two important things or two important tools that we need to install on our machine whenever you want to write any C++ code. The first tool is called as text editor, okay, or code editor. So text editor or code editor is nothing but a simple tool which is used for writing a code. Okay, it's just like your Google Sheets, right? It's just a simple application in which we can write our code. So the first application we need is called as text editor, and the second tool that we need in order to execute the code is called as compiler. Okay, so these are the two important tools that we need to install on our machine to get our environment ready. Now let me quickly tell you what is a compiler. So we as a programmer write a code in C++ language, right? C++ is, I will say, it's a high level language because as a human I can write code in it. That means I can read that code. That means it's a human readable language, and all the human readable languages are called as high level languages, high level programming languages. But the computer or the machine doesn't understand high level language. So what we need to do is we need to convert our high level language code into low level binary code. Binary is just zeros and ones. Okay, so whatever we write in C++, we need to convert it in form of zeros and ones. And as a programmer, we can't directly write code in forms of zeros and ones. It will be very difficult, right? So that's the reason as a programmer we need a tool which will help us to convert our .c++ file or C++ file into a binary file. Okay, and once this file is converted into binary file, then we can execute this binary file. Okay, because computer understands binary. So it's just like this. Let's say you know English and there is one guy who knows German, right? So you both want to communicate, but you don't know German and he don't know English. So let's say if this is the scenario, then what you will do in this case? Maybe you will hire a translator. So whatever you have to convey to him, you will convey it to the translator, and then translator will convert it to his language, and then it will pass the message, right? So the same thing is being achieved with the help of compiler here. So the compiler is just like a translator. It is going to convert our .c++ file into a binary file which is understandable by our machine. Alright, so let's start with installing our first tool, that is code editor. See, there are many options which we can choose. Okay, so there are many code editors available, but the most widely used and the one of my favorite code editor is Visual Studio Code. Okay, so Visual Studio Code is actually not a just not a code editor. It's actually a integrated development environment. It is also called as IDE. Okay, so IDE is the next level of code editor. So let's quickly get started. So let me just type here. So this is something which you also have to do. So let's type install VS Code. Okay, so let's start with installation of the VS Code first. VS Code is Visual Studio Code. This is an awesome software made by Microsoft. Okay, so let's quickly download the VS Code for our machine. Okay, so right now I'm using Windows. Whatever operating system you are using, based on that you will have to select your executable file or download file. So right now I'm using Windows, so I'll just download my installer for the Windows. So it is getting downloaded. So let's wait for a while so that it completes the download process, and then we'll see how we can install this thing. It's very simple. We just have one executable file and then we just have to install it. That's it, right? Okay, so now the download has completed. Okay, let me just double click over here to open this. Okay, just accept the agreement, click on next, just click on next, next. Okay, here you can click on create desktop icon if you want the Visual Studio icon on your desktop. Then I mean that's fine. You can keep other settings as default. Then click on next and then click on install. So it will take some time to install this application on your machine. So let's see how much time it takes. Okay, cool. Now the installation is done. We can finish and it is going to now launch the Visual Studio Code. So let's see. Alright, so now the Visual Studio Code has loaded. You can see this is the home page of the Visual Studio Code, we can say. Right now, let's not discuss about what exactly things are present on this Visual Studio Code. Let's go ahead and let's follow the next installation steps. Okay, so now we have Visual Studio Code set up. The next thing is that we have to install the C++ support for the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so for that, let me go back to the browser and let's see how we can achieve or how we can install the support for C++ in Visual Studio Code. So let's just type C++ support for VS Code. Okay, and always remember, you always have to refer to the documents which are provided by code.visualstudio.com. okay, so click on C++ programming with Visual Studio Code document. So here you will get the installation steps for the C++ support. Okay, so what we have to do, let's quickly read the steps. First we have to open the VS Code, then we have to select the extension view icon on the activity bar. I will show you how we have to do it. Then we have to search for C++ extension and then we have to click on install. That's it, right? So this is something which we have to do. So let me just go back to the VS Code. Okay, so this is the extension icon. You can see over here, okay, and this is called as activity bar. So this is the extension icon, just click on it and then here just click search for C++. So you can see here we are directly getting the option, but you can also search it over here. Search for C++. Okay, so you have to install the first thing, that is C/C++. So this is the support for C and C++ language in VS Code. Okay, so just click on install. Right now in my machine it is already installed, that's why it is not giving me an option to install. But when you will come for the first time, you will get option like this, that is install. Okay, so just click on install and then it will take some time and it will just install the C and C++ support for the Visual Studio Code. Now what this support will exactly, how this will help us, how this support will exactly help us. So this support will help us in syntax highlighting, then it will help us for finding an error in our code. It will also help us for auto completion of our program. Okay, so these are few features provided by this extension that we just installed. Okay,